Ready to Astro Monday. My name's Ra, and I'm about to bring up Christopher Witecki up on the stage. Let me just see if I can invite him, see where he's at in the world. And guys, let me know where you are at in the world and how the energy has been since we checked in last week, because I am in a completely different reality mentally of what I feel like is possible since we talked last week. A lot has shifted for me. So I'm looking for Christopher Witecki is his screen name. He was the first astrologer on. We got Seattle. I'm just getting started with weightlifting and strengthening the core and thoracic back. Oh, that's an amazing journey.
Hi. How are you, sir?
What's up? How are you?
I'm good, actually. I'm feeling much better than I have been. I mean, things feel good in this new world. Do you like the new world?
Oh, you heard me say that.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
I didn't say
it's
new world. There we go. Sorry
I
about
I did say that. I said I ended the
that.
week in a completely
Sorry.
different mindset than I began the week. I
And
feel
how,
like I'm
what
in
was
an
that?
earthquake right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. We're having. This is why we're tardy. I bought the most ridiculous puzzle called that does not hold the same. I'm just gonna hold this myself. We'll figure it out. We're
No,
trying to
no, no.
figure
You
out.
could take a moment to set it up. We're all
Well,
entertained by
this is
this.
all good. I'm like a gossip queen right now. I'm good. So yeah, it's we're in the new world. Welcome. You guys like it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I
good.
I was gonna say I went through some things last week that
Yeah.
opened up my eyes to new possibilities for myself that I wasn't ever considering before, and so it
Mm,
just feels like more reachable than I ever imagined.
more attainable. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So
Like my
it
hair.
does feel like a whole new thing.
It is a whole new thing, and it should feel different. And you might feel like a more like a quieter energy too. I mean, it's calmed down. At least for me, has it calmed down for y'all? People watching? It's not coming on this headset, but yeah. There we go.
You're talking about like, yeah,
Just
I haven't seen anybody say that things have been hectic, and that's what we were getting for the last few weeks was like a lot of hectic energy.
that's what I'm saying. Oh yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. So you're noticing it is calming down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is calming down. Because we're in the new world. And this is a new karmic pattern. So believe it or not, I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't feel so. The old karma, the old stuff that you have, will only continue if you deliberately continue it. So, let's say you have an issue with drinking, right? And you've been working on it your whole life, and it's always kind of gotten you, and it's because you were abandoned and you didn't nurture yourself, and so you were medicating, so to fill it in. You
Hey,
should, yeah.
sorry to cut you off.
Can you hear
Sorry, I
me?
should have waited. Yeah, is there any, do you have another light in there? You looked like you kind
A
of look
dark, yeah,
shadowy. Yeah.
yeah, it's true. Well, we had rain yesterday, and we had clouds in Palm Springs, so it is significantly, darker here than it normally is. Plus, we're backlit, looks like, so we'll get that
Yeah.
light in. We're working on
Okay.
it.
Sorry to cut you
Yeah,
off, but yes,
it's
please
okay.
continue.
Well, see, this is the new Chris, the shadow Chris. So you're gonna see, the bad stuff. So literally, I believe what happens is that if you have had an issue that was cycling over and over again, right? That issue will not be triggered, like it will not come up unless you bring it up. It will not come up. And I'd like to hear people comment about it and tell us what they're experiencing, because that's what the planets are saying, is that these routines are over. And so now Saturn and Neptune are both going to go back into Pisces, and what that means is that we're going to sort of adopt new issues, right? Now, these new issues aren't like the issues we were born with. These new issues are actually, I think, Atlantean. I think these are ancient issues. So imagine, I'll do this. Thanks. I imagine that these issues, we have a stylist. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That's why I cut you off earlier, because I wanted to make sure
My hair is crazy.
that
Well,
person was still in the room that could fix
it
the
is
light.
humid. Yeah, it's, yeah. It's real humid here, which means hair is flat, everything is different. We had rain yesterday, and then what happens in the desert is after the day after it rains, after anyone's living in the desert, it gets extremely humid the next day, which is odd for the desert because all the water that just fell now rises back up, and heats up. But we're now at Saturn at 0 degrees. That's good. And heading towards Pisces. Neptune will go back to Pisces also, and that's going to be the introduction of the next karmic story. In fact, we actually feel that this week is when the new karmic story starts to come in. And the karmic story is an ancient story, which deals maybe like a dull ache kind of fear, or like a dull, um, something that's kind of like been a dull worry of yours, but not a huge worry, like nuclear war, for instance. When people fear nuclear war, we think they're fearing Atlantis, the fall of Atlantis, right? So when you fear like these movies about death and destruction and things falling apart, we that's an ancient fear because we did destroy the earth once upon a time, and we're all a
Mm.
part of it. So that's not a fear that we really spend our life, terrorized by. So it's a dull fear. It's a light fear. And now I don't think it's going to come to surface unless people are taking like Russia and that sort of thing too far in their mind. But so there will be some new issues, but these issues will not be like the issues we had, where we're terrified, or we became, had, substance abuse, or we, you know, slept around with all kinds of people instead of, the person we're supposed to be with. Those radical things, that was all Dark Ages karma. And so we had a new moon a couple days ago at step 0. Today we're at step 3, I believe. We went from step 2 to step 3, Virgo. And I think I mentioned this in last week's show, but again in this week's show. Um, we have 3 major lunar events in Virgo, and it's like a surgical precision as far as how it's happening. We have a new moon at 0 degrees, which we had a couple days ago. We have a full moon lunar eclipse at 15, the exact halfway mark. And then we have a new moon at 29, Virgo. And if people don't know, Virgo is the consciousness that actually creates reality. So Virgo consciousness is the density. It's actually what slows matter down until it becomes solid. Like that's the consciousness that slows down and solidifies. And so what you literally have is what's solid is going to be replaced with something new solid. And our theories are, I mean, on our table, our round table, we feel like that solid is going to be lighter than before. We think it's going to be 5D ready. We personally feel that this new matter is going to have activated DNA that has been perhaps dormant, or junk DNA. We feel like it's the step into the light, and we feel it is the official, biological swap out for ascension. In essence. So people who have risky health, I would say, are at risk, in the sense of, if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't care about yourself, if your body's taking a hit and you haven't done the work to, like the fascia work with Gary and the human garage, if you haven't done the work to like release that, then people may hit some sort of pain or medical emergency or medical wall. So we do see that. If you're living a dangerous life in the sense of risking your life all the time, like the Dukes of Hazzard jumping over cars, or you're just doing something that's not smart, we would say that you really should stop now. You're not going to have much more leave room. The things that kind of saved you, I don't think are going to save you anymore. So those are the only real hazards we see. Otherwise, we feel like people are getting used to this new version of themselves, where they're just suddenly pain-free, fear-free, worry-free for a while, until the first wave of the Atlantis karma hits, which we think is around February or March next year.
And what is that? So, all
Well,
right, there's two things I want to unpack. Is number one, like, why is there no safety net anymore personally? And then
mm,
a little bit more about Atlantis karma. What does that mean?
well, remember, the reason why we're here is to learn. So when you are taking a risk of your life over and over again, there's actually a lot of intention for you not to lose it, because losing your life would lose a lesson, especially this one, because this is the last bus that you can take it. So we feel that ultimately that mechanism that kept you alive is gone. It was part of the old DNA. It was part of the old system. It was part of the old guarantee. You were sort of insured not to die from stupid stuff while you were learning that was stupid. But now that the
Hmm.
lesson's over, there's no more lesson plans. In other words, God is not going to put a person in front of you that warns you about the same old stuff. You're not going to find some nice stranger save you at the last minute, or give you food at the last minute. Like those things where you were kind of saved and helped along, that was for you to learn. But there are timelines on Mother Earth, and she is ascending regardless. So and that's what I learned too. I didn't realize that the ascension is actually her. So, well, it's more than that. There's a galactic ascension in the sense that the solar system has swung in front of the galactic center, and that, when I say in front of, that was in 2012. Our solar system, the entire solar system, is now swung, into apparently there's something coming out of the center of the galactic center. There's a lot of theories about what it is. I'm not going to guess what it is, but I do believe it's there. And so what these ions, these whatever these things are, do is they awaken, and they excite these higher states of awareness. So it's sort of like a wind that only blows in 5D. And so this 5D wind started blowing, so to speak, from 2012 onward. And now we're at full wind, basically. So we're not in the full stream. which is why I think we have to get these new bodies. Like we have to re-embody ourselves because we were our first thing. The way you were born was you were born to a very dense, heavy system, and so now we're going to a light system. And so therefore, people who want to consider being heavy, whether that's physical heavy, which comes from a emotional heavy. People who have heaviness in their body and retain weight is because they're retaining emotional weight as the body is simply replicating what they're doing and also trying to preserve them. That's going to be a problem because whereas in the past the system was sort of designed to like allow you to be that way and still live. Now the system is not designed that way. We literally cannot live that heavy on Earth. We cannot live that much weight. We cannot live with that much consumption. Consumption of it's not even that much consumption. It's processed food, right? So I think that was your question. So now in this new, by the end of Virgo, and Virgo is your body, it's how you embody, it's how you live in the moment. So most people ought to have a big shift in, if nothing else, the lifting of the heaviness, right? And what you might do for friends out there, guys, is remind them that they have a choice. I've been doing this to people in my life. There's a lot of people who kind of, it's not that they want to be depressed, it's that you have a habit of it, right? And so, and it's an emotional habit too, by the way. In some cases, people who are depressed are kind of like a hormone junkie, because when you get depressed, your body releases hormones, and you sort of go through these cycles where you release sadness, and all of a sudden the sadness lifts, and that's quite a high. So it's almost like getting stoned when you lift the sad, and then you get sad again, or they eat heavy foods, they get sad again. And a lot of that is actually that you're just used to those highs, like smoking a cigarette, right? And so, anyways, those moments now when you reach a moment where you hit that low, simply just try to respond to it in a joyful way or in a happier way. Like just say, fuck it. I'm not gonna worry about it. Just respond. If nothing else, respond opposite. Like if you don't know how to respond, do the opposite. The opposite isn't always the best because it's probably just as extreme. However, it will get you out of the snowdrift and back on the road, right? And what you're gonna find is the things that tempted you will not tempt you anymore. So when the alcoholic walks in the bar, they won't be tempted. They won't feel temptation. When different things where people hurt themselves or abuse themselves, see it, they're going to now see the opportunity. They're going to see where they were not seeing before. So they're going to see for themselves. Oh, this is silly. They can see themselves doing it and choosing it. And a lot of times something bad will happen, and they won't really care. They're not really hurt, but they'll still go ahead and act hurt. They'll go through the motion. And
Right.
see that's where people are re-upping. And that's where you have to be careful because if you're not finding yourself on the roller coaster, get off. Get off and see if the roller coaster doesn't come grab you and put you back on. It's not gonna, right? So there's a little bit of weird adjustments to it. People are gonna feel a little bit out of their skin. They're gonna feel like a stranger in a strange land. They're gonna feel like their home isn't really home anymore. And if that's the case, you're meant to move. A lot of migration is going to start to happen between now and December. People are literally going to where the next story is, and being dragged, taken there. And I'll tell you, the next story, the reason why you have to move is because of the people that's waiting for you there. So in almost every case, we move due to the geological energy of that place. So the Earth has a signature there that is the part of the new signature of you, and so you're feeding off that signature. And then you're of course around people who also feeding off that signature. And I've already had it here in Palm Springs. I would say about 40 or 50% of the people I meet just moved here. Just moved here. And maybe, not the whole town just moved here, but I'm meeting the ones who have, so you'll see that
Right.
find yourself in a new place. So we all have another story we've come to live, something we've come to do. And in many cases, that story has to do with ascension, where many humans in this life, from what I'm hearing in heaven, it's like, this is like a record lifetime as far as how many people are going to ascend by the end of this life, a record. From what I hear, sometimes it's like two. All right. I'm not kidding. I'm billions, two. Right. And I haven't been given a number, but I was shown it visually. And it's like, it's a lot. So much that you would see them, if they all went up at once, the skies would be littered for a moment of all the people that are going to ascend. Like a lot of people are done with their mission. A lot of people like myself came here to actually build Earth. Technically, Earth is open for the public after our lifetime. It's still under construction. This is still beta.
What?
Yeah, this is beta. Yeah, because it's been built to be a library of knowledge and a place where you can learn about who you are as a soul. I do think we got detoured when Atlantis fell, and that put the project down back behind 26,000 years. However, we had to wait for it to go back to the same cycle because you have to wait for the system to reset, and so the system is resetting now. Like it's moving back to the place where it was in the very beginning, and what was designed to last for a long time. I mean, the civilization of Atlantis, when it went down, it was about 5,000 years they had lived in peace.
Right.
5,000 years. We're only at 2,000 in our counting. We've only been counting for 2,000 years. That's how asleep we were, right? It's 2025 right now, right? So we've all been officially counting worldwide for 2,025 years, whereas the land is around 5,000 years before they actually went down. They had three major catastrophes actually, and the first one was actually completely geological. That wasn't their fault. Second one was their fault. Third one was their fault. Third one was because of the result of the second one. Yeah, but the point
So
is that we're moving on up, and so life might get really boring. And if it gets really boring, you're doing the wrong thing. Just so you know.
okay, so that's the signal.
Yeah, if you're bored, if you're just tired of your husband, and you're just tired of your kids or whatever, like you just can't deal with it anymore. I'm not saying you're going to abandon them, and you say that there is something now different for you to do, and you have played the role already, and everything you do, even if you let's say insist on you keep drinking as an alcoholic, it's not going to really be the same thrill. It's not going to be the same thrill. You're not going to get the thrill you used to get out of it. You're not going to get the satisfaction you used to get out of it. So our old life is going to be very unsatisfactory, and you can expect that for this whole month, right? It's not satisfactory. Now, ironically, world power is behind. So as far as the ascension is concerned, it starts with the people, right? So there are certain people who have been following these signs since they were born, who've always tried to be lighter, live lighter, find happiness in their life. They are the first ones to begin to rise up now, right? And so those people get a bus ticket to go to a higher plane. What does that mean? It just means you're happy all the time. They're happy and they're joyful and they're laughing here and they're laughing there and they're enjoying this and they're enjoying that. They're enjoying their life. That's what it's going to look like, right? And then you have the other people who are not enjoying it all, and those people will have to go through the same ascension that we did over the last 25 years. And they'll go a little faster than we did because they'll have the atmosphere will put pressure on them, whereas we were sort of pressured from the inside. The world will put pressure on them. But the point is as far as consciousness goes, you have the individual, and then you have groups, and then you have communities, and then you have society, right? And then you have like international, right? So you're going to see layer by layer of the cake start to fall, right? So all while we are sitting here feeling good for the first time in our life, you'll start to see things completely collapsing that were built during that time, because everything built in the last 2,000 years was built on fear,
Mhm.
survival, you know, the dark side, avoiding the dark side, avoiding evil, all these like really primitive ideas. And so if these institutions are built on that, right, they're going to fall. And if they're still corrupted with it, they're going to fall. So it's going to look like all hell's breaking loose. But for those who are awake, they'll see it as obvious. It'll be an obvious thing and expect it. So I think I was talking about last week about the U.S. government and things that we feel like are going to change. We do feel like there's going to be, a complete reboot of the United States government, and it feels like it's after Trump's term, and not due to Trump per se. I think he's just the last straw. You know what I mean? Like as far as people are concerned, which I think he signed up to be. For the record, he knows he is. That was the whole point. And so from that point, we really go into, as you and I go into our probably our 60s, is what it feels like. I don't know if you want to give away your age, but it feels like in my 60s, which is about 10, 15 years from now, that's when
I'm I'm about to be 43.
okay, so you're a youngin. So you'll be very active. I'm about 9 years older than you. So yeah, in about 11 years, it feels like 11 years or so, um, from a very calm place, actually, not from riots. Like the most intense part of our conflict is going to be from February of next year till about December of 2027. So about a year and a half, starting next February, is what we're feeling.
Is
It's,
going to be a shift. Like that's the downfall of the old and the rising of the new.
yeah, and people, the people who waited, the people who are really angry, did no healing. So if you see people who are just outrageous, okay, so people who are outrageously angry, people who are just like want to personally kill someone in the government,
Right.
they have done no work,
Hmm.
and so they've signed up for a very extreme, a very abrupt, very quick ascension, like a band-aid being ripped off, right? They're going to send, when I say ascension, I don't mean off the earth. I just mean out of their blues, out of their unhappiness, into either death. Some people leave, like they'll push it too far. Like major depression, they have to be like clinically, like sort of brought back, or they will just, cry it out for a long time, and they'll, but they decided to do it very quickly. Whereas you and I are more gentle souls and probably older, and so we took the gentle ride, you know, which was, from since 2012. And by the way, we've only been ascending since 2012. We were pretty much stuck in a pattern until 2012, which is what the Mayans were calculating, by the way, with the orbit of Venus.
That's crazy. I was doing a journaling exercise this morning, and it was the thing I was journaling about was when I just decided to change my personality, just to change my character. And it was around 2012 because I was like gym owner, angry, yelling at people, like just
Really?
performance,
Wow.
performance, performance, like just like very rigid, strict, militant type personality. And one day I was just like, I'm going to start smiling at every single person that I walk by. And my whole reality just shifted, and I just let go of who I was. But it's funny because I was just journaling about that
So
two
you were,
hours
let's
ago.
see, 24. So that's 13 years ago, right? So you were 30. That was after your Saturn return. Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
right after my 30th birthday, I remember.
Yeah. So
Somewhere close.
that guy was probably your last life, your very last life. So when you're between 30 and 32, it's your final life, and your final life, the life track prior to this one. And one thing I learned recently in channeling from my guides was that you can only string one life to the next. So we have past lives, we have memories of those past lives, and we have talents that we developed over those past lives. But the actual karma is from one life, and that's calculatable in the chart, and that's visible in the chart. You can see actually a lot about the life you lived just prior to this one, and that life lasts usually between age 30 and a half to 32. It's longer. Whereas in your 20s, it's almost a different life every year. So all of us live about 29 lifetimes. We relive 29 lifetimes before we get to the last life that we live about a year and a half, almost 2 years. And then we're free from those memories. And we change our life. So you were basically, that moment of you being happy was pretty much what you said in heaven before you came down. Like, you know what? I'm going to be happy. I'm just going to try this one. What the fuck? Let's try it. And so you literally remembered the conclusion you made in the company of heaven, and you decided. And the reason why you could do it like that was because it was something you had processed a long time,
Hold
right?
on.
Yeah.
You just said a lot.
Oh,
Were
sorry.
you saying we're living multiple lifetimes within this lifetime, or dealing with the karma of multiple lifetimes within this lifetime?
Well, first of all, karma builds up lifetime after lifetime. So technically, it's an accumulative thing, anyways, right? So, anytime you have a lifetime, you have the story till now, right? So you have the story until up until this point. So, if you've been slowly getting more dangerous every life, then the last life will be the where you left off, very, very dangerous, which was because the one for that was less, the one for that was less. So you are at the cumulative point of the lifetimes. However, the actual DNA, which is encoded, and your DNA is encoded with past life awareness, comes from only one life, and that's the one prior. One
Okay.
life. Well, I used to think it was all lives conglomerate. And what I learned was, it's specifically the last life you lived. So we always take like basically the data. It's just like computer transfer. We take the data from the last hard drive and we copy it on this one, and then we add new intentions, new what we call root intentions to those old intentions. And those root intentions, by the way, just so everyone knows, it's in the step system. The system actually explains this, and you can see all the things. But basically, take the past life step numbers, and then you have heaven step numbers, basically that are developed in heaven, which is your conclusion and your response to your last life. And then from your response to your last life, you then encode these step numbers that are the intentions to learn and experience from your conclusions in heaven and your last life. So we incarnate with our conclusions from the last life, also and memories of the last life in one.
And a lot of what we're usually talking about on Monday has to do with the step system. And so
Yes,
if
and
someone's
astrology.
listening to where can they find out a little bit more about the step system?
Yes, you know what? Come to seriousjoy.com, and we're gonna have more and more free content for people who aren't in a place to pay. But we're also going to be making things much more affordable. We have a new version coming out that allows you just kind of a la carte and buy little things. But the step system is a numerological human conscious order. Like it is a human operating system. And so it turns out that one thing humans are always doing and their body's always doing is counting. You're always counting steps. And we're not talking about the steps that make you thin. We're talking about actually conscious steps. And the conscious steps always follow the same order, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The order of the numbers is the same order of consciousness. You just didn't realize that each number had a state of awareness. So we cycle through these steps all the time, over and over and over again, which is why life repeats itself, because it's always the same song that starts over. And what we've discovered, serious story, is that the astrological chart, actually any number anywhere, is a step number. It's consciousness. So if you have the Three of Swords in tarot, that's the step Three of Swords, right? Or the step 10 of Swords, right? So any number in any esoteric is tied directly to the step system, as in the gates in human design. All the gate numbers are all step numbers. And what's interesting is those numbers are higher, like 40 something and 50, right? And actually 4, 5, and 6 numbers are all fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension. So the third dimension ends at 29.
Mm.
And step 30 is an in between realm, and then step 40 is the fourth dimension, and step 50 is the fifth dimension. So theoretically, they just keep climbing, and every step is a different frequency base.
And a lot of what you deal with is third dimension and down, right?
Well, that's a good question because now we're starting to think about the next steps. I mean, we have the curriculum in order, to help people through the base, all these other lower steps. And by the way, when we say work through them, we're talking about
You muted after we're talking about.
someone's calling. Sorry, did it mute him?
We got you now.
Yeah, it mutes when you
Just
call. It's so funny.
you
Uh,
muted after we're talking what we're talking about, I think.
um, and I kind of forgot where I was with it, but uh, in essence, the step system. Oh, every step number is actually a combination of human awareness. So step one is love. So it's a love note. So it's your heart. And so when the heart is active on a step one day, which was a few days ago, your heart, the earth is like playing a frequency that lights up your heart. And then on step two, the earth is playing a frequency that lights up your feelings. And step three, it lights up your beliefs. So all astrology really is the systematic lighting up of steps. That's all it is, over and over and over and over and over again. And the planets are simply like the counterweights that push it. So, these are big counterweights that push that consciousness forward. They're all tow trucks or push trucks for consciousness and keep it moving and cycling in circles and circles, right? And so, really, what happens is you cycle through the steps, and as you go through each step, which is a state of awareness, such as thoughts or feelings or past life, subconscious is one of them. Spirituality and the body, or Virgo, is one of the states of awareness. So now the sun's in Virgo, right? So that means the sun is sending lights, and photons that are encoded with stuff about the body. So everyone's human body has the potential to either break down or heal while the sun's in Virgo, because the body is being fed all these photons. Now, as it's fed all this energy, your consciousness decides where to steer in it, right? So if you get this huge blast of photons that says, it ultimately says go higher, and they only say one thing, go higher, right? So you get this blast that says go higher. Well, someone who's really low and who's really hanging on to the poor me from a disease thing, right, may want to stay low when you're being told to go higher. And they don't want to do that. They don't want to face that stuff. They don't want to see a counselor. They don't want to do that. So as a result, they decay faster, right? Because now the root intention is to go higher. Now you're trying to hold back the earth, and so you're going to have some trouble, and your body's going to have some trouble, especially during the health fund, right? So we feel like the health will reach a crisis this month because a lot of people have done nothing about it, and so suddenly the energy is not compatible anymore.
And neither is this feed with Chris that just froze. Let me look at some of these comments. Guys, this SJ app is the Sirius Joy app. So Sirius is spelled like the star Sirius. Um, Scotty was talking about levitating earlier. We got a question about Atlantis going down. Here I am just by myself now. Sometimes Chris comes back on, so just hold up, guys. We still have the days of the week that we're going to go over, which is what this whole show accumulates to every single week. Normally we talk about the broader picture. So we're talking about 26,000 year cycles right now, when Atlantis fell and how we're moving into that cycle right now. And I want to ask him one more question so we can finish that off. like what does it mean that we're in this same stage? Because he says, he keeps on saying that we're going to be uh, stepping into what we left behind, or beginning to take on what it was before. But if Atlantis fell, here he is, then what does that mean for us? Like what is next stage for us? What was Atlantis supposed to be doing? Is it up to them to rewrite the story, or are we, meaning are we taking on the story of Atlantis, or are we determining what happens next?
There we
Hey
go.
Chris.
Yeah, we had a little power thing. Sorry.
All good.
Yeah. So where were we?
You were talking about the step system.
Right. And climbing through the steps. Yeah.
Right.
So we cycle through the steps, and in each step that you walk year after year, that step is either in its pure form, it's following your life's purpose, or it's not. Right? Because the steps were encoded with a purpose. The purpose that it was encoded with was what you decided in heaven that you wanted to do. So you said, I want to learn this from this. And if you're not following that direction, if you're going against the energy, you're going to see breakdown, decay, emotional issues, all these types of things. So really, the step system is so easy. You just need to be in step with who you are. In step
In
with who you
step.
are. That's it. With who you are. And if you're in step with who you are, you're going to grow. And this is basically this is a carnival. This whole Earth experience is actually very special, where the Earth itself is designed to reflect your inner life. And so the things that happen to you are all reflections of your inner life. So you can see your insides on the outside, right? So yes. And in Serious Joy, what we do is we guide you every day on the step. It's one step a day. That's it. And we guide you on that step. We have pep talks. We have different things that just guide you on that step. And you'll see for yourself, we are an ascension school, basically. And so if you want to ascend and ascend fast, come out to SeriousJoy.com. So yeah, we'll help you. But otherwise, I have a free show every week that talks about what's going on and where we are. This is an exciting time, though. What we're about to see is just going to blow people's minds.
Yeah,
Blow
and
people's
Chris
minds.
Chris is right. You're like, ascension it requires enhanced capacity. And a lot of the times you can practice that. And Serious Joy is one of those places where you can practice what it will be needed during ascension, so that you don't get overloaded and fried. And like you said, just like shot up into a new world or die.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of it's just you just need to hear that you're not crazy.
Right. Hey, I had
Yeah.
a question
Yep.
about, so if we're going into the cycle where Atlantis fell, then that means that where we're at right now is kind of like in the, like we're in the same cycle that was before the fall, right?
Correct.
So we're like seeing the turmoil happen, and so then Atlantis falls. What's after that? What's like,
Oh, that's a good question.
because Atlantis was underwater. So
Right,
well,
right.
what is?
Well, that was the first time. So remember, first of all, remember that it doesn't do humans any good to repeat something they've already learned. So, it's kind of a one-shot deal. You don't know about it, and then once you've seen it and lived it, you can't put it back in the box. Your soul knows, right? So once your soul knows, repeating the same thing will not help you. And people go, "Oh, your karma's gonna repeat itself." Karma does not repeat itself literally. Okay. So if you live a life where you're on the run and you're, cops and robbers kind of thing, you know, um, let's do it this way. If you're like in a Western and you're cops and robbers kind of thing, where you're like shooting the Indians and all that, you won't be fighting Indians again in any lifetime ever. But you might find yourself, in the Bronx, right? Where it's the Bloods versus the Crips and you're fighting there. So it repeats itself in the new modern context, but it never repeats itself literally. What I'm getting at is we will not destroy the earth again. There's just nothing to learn from it. We've already done it. It would be a big nothing burger. There's nothing to learn from destroying the earth again. Now, almost looks like on the brink of, sure, of course, because you have to learn where you made the mistake the last time. And the people who destroyed the earth are here again, and they're playing the bad guys again. That's another thing about this next cycle. Usually in karma, you play the opposite. So if you're the bad guy, then the next time you repeat it, you're the good guy, right? So God forces you to see the other side, and the system forces you to see the other side, so you learn all sides. But because Atlantis was rudely interrupted, okay,
Hmm.
and did not complete its cycle, everyone's being recast in the same role.
So to finish off what Atlantis was going to do, like without the
Oh,
fall, because
this,
what I'm
oh,
getting at is like is
what was the point before the fall? Yeah.
well, also there's a lot of talk about catastrophe and
Oh, yeah.
how does that fit in? Like, is there going to be a solar flare that like completely wipes out the electric grid, or is there going to be a war? Like, because that seems kind of similar to Atlantis falling if something like
Totally.
that happens.
Okay, so let's say you survived Atlantis and were living in a village, or you were touring a village at the time. Because remember, Atlantis was like the British Empire. It created all of the different colonies, and so all the colonies in the world were Atlantean colonies. China, Peru, Egypt. These are all colonies of Atlantis, where they had gone and established societies. And so what happens when Atlantis died? Those stayed alive. Those guys lived, right?
Hmm.
So those people that lived would probably face a catastrophe and will probably die. So the people who, yeah, probably. I mean, I'm
Because
assuming.
they escaped it.
Yep, yep. So there will be pockets. There will be pockets of catastrophe. There will be, and it's known. And people,
Wow.
um, yeah, there'll be pockets. Those pockets are serving the people who did not get on board that ride. And so if you know you went down in Atlantis, you should be happy. You're not going to die like that. You're like, that's not the intention. From what I understand, it's just not going to happen. It's going to almost happen. You're going to see like revealed. But I'll tell you one of the things that Atlantis was doing right before they died. They were creating vaccines, but they didn't call them vaccines. They were actually genetic modifying shots, and they were starting to play with genetic modification. And they were they were dumbing down some of the population because they had an issue with labor. They couldn't get people to do the hard shit. Everybody was intelligent and nobody wanted to do it. And so they thought it was dark to actually make so they didn't go to Africa and they didn't go to places and steal their people and make them work as slaves. What they did was they snuck shots into their own population and made their own population work slaves and sex slaves. That was one of the darkest things they did. So, and they never got caught for that because they sank. So that's an issue they never really faced
It seems like that's happening now, though, right?
because it's never been faced. Yes. Actually,
Ah,
the same people are doing it.
okay.
It's the same people. I
All right.
remember Bill. I remember Bill well. There's the same people. It's the same souls doing it again. The same ones doing it again. So because the story was interrupted.
Hmm. So
So a
that
lot
never
of the dark
completed.
we never faced as a society. We never processed it. It never got exposed because all the evidence conveniently went down with Atlantis. So there was a lot of dark stuff going on in Atlantis where they were really they what happened was is that they were a pure society and had never experienced darkness whatsoever, and that's hard to imagine, right? But honestly, if nothing ever goes wrong and no one ever is a robber, no one ever is a cop, like the whole bad guy good guy thing. If everyone's just always living in their happy utopia, you literally have no idea, nor does your creative mind come up with it independently. The human mind was not coming up with anything mean; it just didn't come up with it. Just like anyone good now, is probably shocked to hear how bad things get. Creativity, nothing in God's creation inspires death. God doesn't even invest in that. What it was an alien force. So an alien force came down and started introducing these darker kind of concepts to some of the leaders of Atlantis. And the thing is, the leaders of Atlantis were kind of bored with how good things were. And so when they got a taste of darkness, they were addicted. The adrenaline rush, I mean, apparently when you murder someone, there's quite an adrenaline rush. That's what I've heard. Apparently when you autofixate, and masturbate, there's quite an adrenaline rush. Whenever you do something that's like pinches off energy of God, our system is actually designed to drug us, and that's what DMT is. I mean, when you die, your brain like releases this huge splurge of DMT, and you're like on a fucking acid trip before you die. That is like basically God giving us like emergency sprinklers to put out the pain before we die, so we don't actually feel it. So we're actually designed to not feel pain when we die. Not at all. In fact, there's a lot of stories. I heard a near death experience from a person just recently where he drowned and he didn't even feel it. He didn't feel any of it. He doesn't have any memories. There are near death experiences too. There's stories of people who like go down on a plane. Their souls are pulled out before the plane even crashes. there's God does not even allow you to experience like the wreckage, the tumbling, and oh my God, must have been so horrible for people. People who jump off of buildings or jump off like a bridge, they never feel the water. You're pulled, your soul's pulled out. The system is designed to never have that stuff, right? And so, but the body is designed to like give this rush and totally dopamine dopamine you up and get you really high right when it thinks it's going to die. And so what happened was this alien race came and started basically introducing some of the leaders to this dope. And so they got addicted. They started to like it. They started to like actually want to use it and get off on hurting other people. And the first continent they started to hurt was Lemuria.
Hmm.
They suddenly decided they had a problem with Lemuria. I mean, the leaders did,
Right.
right? And so they started picking on Lemurians. And so there's one of the biggest things they did was they ruined. I mean, they killed Lemuria. They completely massacred and killed the entire continent. I mean, most of the Lemurians got away because they're super psychic and they were alien anyways, and so they took off knowing that things were going really bad. And they also knew the galactic race that was doing it. I mean, there's some bad guys in the universe that don't hang around the sector anymore, because they know they have no chance. I mean, the rest of the universe came in to protect Earth. So Earth is very protected from bad aliens. There's no, from what I understand, bad aliens know the bad aliens know they would be killed. They also know that the only time that the other aliens would ever fight them is if they were truly threatening their race. And so, because the other aliens, all the galactic, from what I understand, agreed that like if someone comes around trying to kill us, we'll all just wipe you out, right? So, and they will. They have the power. I mean, there's enough of others that who are all united. It's not like Earth where like you've got Russia and China will come together and fight till the end. Basically, it's just it's like a couple of small assholes, and then everyone else is good. And
Hmm.
so they stay away. So Earth is fine. But back then, Earth was like a Wild West. It was very unattended. It was way out there, and it took a long time before the other species realized what people, these aliens were doing. So they came in, they started corrupting humans, and once humans got a taste of that, it spread. So from what it sounds like, the real Satan was an alien. It was an alien energy that introduced us to the dopamine effect of our fight or flight, and they got us caught in this fight or flight mechanism, and then they enslaved us through the fight or flight cycle, right? So where do we go after we don't allow them to kill us? We live happy and we make art. You
Cool.
know, what you're supposed to do here is you're supposed to learn who you are. So it's basically a school. Earth is a school and a library. That's its design.
So the whole fall of Atlantis was also irregular interruption.
Yes, I mean,
Okay.
yeah, it wasn't the plan.
Right. Got
Yeah,
it. All right.
and believe it or not, even angels are so are naive because we just didn't have it. It's just
Yeah.
never, it's just, it's like if you just, started eating out your heart rate on television, it's like, what the fuck? Like, it's just something so shocking out of this world, alien. Yeah,
All right.
so that's what we were.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing, and that's a big topic.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I think we can start narrowing it down
So
to,
to now,
yeah, to the now.
well, so what is this? Virgo is I become. So everything in the step system is I protect, I love, to I become, right? Protection is you hold the shell. So protection is just like the egg, the shell of the egg, or the body, which is the shell of the soul. Okay, so the I protect is just creating this space for this to happen, right, on your hard drive. Then you bring in love, which is step one. And from step one to step 11, which is love, you become this energy that you create. So, step 11 is when you, the one you love, you create a replica of yourself and you love attract one that looks just like you, the reflection of you, which is your body is a reflection of your soul, right? And your world is a reflection of your body, and so on and so forth. So we're just these reflections. We're in a hall of mirrors. Now, these first steps that we're in today, we're in step 2, 3. Okay, I think we went to 3 already. And which means that now today you are re-becoming what you believe. All right, you're re-becoming. So every year in Virgo, you re-up to become that again. So the old idea of a pagan wedding, pagan marriage being only a year and a day is actually a step system. Well, basically, you have been, let's put it this way. What you become what you believe. So if you become a racist, I mean, if you believe in racism, you become a racist, right? And that's what you become. That means that you be it and more of it comes. What you be is what comes. So when you be it, it comes in reality. It comes from the earth. Every year in Virgo, harvest season, we re-become or not re-become what we were before. And so this is the time of the year where it's the easiest for you to change. The easiest. The easiest. So you mentioned earlier, you just one day sat down and decided you weren't going to be that anymore. That's Virgo. Virgo is that I don't want to be this anymore. And so it is. It
Yeah.
happens that fast.
And similar energy just happened the last few days. It was like, oh wow, it felt like a doorway I'm walking through.
You are exactly it. So all you have to do is not be who you've been for 11 straight days, and you'll change your life. And by the way, that's the end of the 40 days of self-love. 40 days of self-love is a serious story. We do 30 days of love where we decide what we want to become. And then the last 11 days of the program, we become it. That's what we do. Just through instruction, through guidance. And all it means is all you have to do is just not be that again, that day. And the thing is, there's something energetically that's sort of imprinted on your DNA. It's like habits are made in Virgo. Like habits are made, and deep impressions are made. Habits that last at least a year, right? So this is the best time to quit something. The best time to start something is Virgo, right? And that's why Virgo is hyper aware of all these details in life, because a Virgo is a person who's always becoming. Their whole life they're in constant state of becoming. They basically live Virgo for the whole year. They become, and they're constantly becoming something all the time. So today we are rebecoming today through tomorrow, we are rebecoming our beliefs. In the last 24 hours, we were rebecoming our feelings. Step 2. So if you feel sad and you said, I don't want to be sad anymore. So I will no longer be sad. I will be joyful or neutral, and you become neutral. Now, what happens is reality is like an echo of what you be. So you be, and then an echo is comes. And then you'd be there, and then an echo comes. And then you'd be there, and an echo comes. So it's kind of like, ha, 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 ha. This reality is like, ha, 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 like back and forth, back and forth. So when you be and something else comes, and the next thing that comes, the first thing that's going to come is what you used to be, right? The first thing that comes is what you used to be. So
Mm.
today, what's coming is what you used to be. And what happens is that people look at that and they go, oh, that's real. That's who I am.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
it's who you were, right? That's why your response to yourself is the most powerful change you have. It's not when you start. What you be is not actually not real. What you be is what comes. But the real change happens when something comes, you go ahead and be a new be again against what comes. So you have to go against or just be the new thing when the old thing comes. So the hard part about Virgo is you try to change and it feels like the world tries to pull you back.
Mm-hmm.
But the world's not pulling you back. That's the echo of the last time you were being.
Right.
So the old bee comes and echoes.
It's the
And you're like, oh, I'm
momentum.
trying to change and no one's stopping me. Everyone's against me. No, you are facing the current and the momentum of your last bee. So if you're really being an asshole, then next year, people will really be an asshole back to you. Or they'll really will. Now it's a year later, you forgot you were an asshole a year ago. So you just feel like the world's picking on you. So if you interpret that as like, oh my God, the world's suddenly picking on me, I'm going to be even a bigger asshole. Then if you resist and you fight that life, you fight what bees instead of just be something else, you fight what comes to you, which is the echo of your last bee, right? Then you actually increase the conflict, and now you are going to be with more tension, more fighting, more ick, right? This is how we spiraled out of control. Is that we started to see things as black and white, and we started looking at things like, no, we got into arguments and bars, and we're just like, no, clearly, I mean, they all came attacking me. So clearly I'm the guilty one. I'm the victim. And it's like, and as we went away from Atlantis, we forgot this how it works. And so other people came and go, I'll tell you how it works. You're a sinner. And Jesus is gonna die for your sin one day. We come in, lies came in explain something else. And so we started to buy it. And so we've been on this, the reason why people are unhappy, they're not getting what they want is because you don't know how the world works at all. You think it works from money and power and beauty, but that's not how it works at all. That's just not a thing. So now today, if you believe, so I challenge everyone watching this one challenge. If you believe that the world is evil, but you wish it wasn't, then pretend you believe it wasn't for 24 hours. So I got to do 24 hours. Now, You may think that that's going around talking to people. It's actually not. What counts the most is what's inside, right? So if your mind goes, man, this world's an evil place, and you go, no, actually, I'm going to be that it is a good place. And so inside yourself, without anyone watching, you change the story and say, it's a good place, right? You just change yourself until next year. That's it. That's all it took. Now, tomorrow, it sort of actually happens in less and less waves. So it kind of gradates. So tomorrow, the world will look like maybe it's a horrible, maybe it's evil. I'm not quite sure. And then the next day, it's like, oh, there's a hint of evil. The next day, it's like, I don't know if I found evil today. And the final day, it's like, what's evil? You know, like, so it fades. Everything fades. When you stop giving something attention, it fades out, it dissolves out. So, and this is true with problems too. Nothing happens overnight. Nothing happens black and white. It's always a fade, a gradation. So you'll be nice, and then you'll be kind of an asshole, less of an asshole, not so asshole, grumpy, like Democrat or just kidding, Republican, like whatever it is. It just ends like finally, and you're done, right? So it just fades out. So knowing this, you just remain tolerant of that. If you see it less than tomorrow, you're on the right path. And
Okay.
less than the next day, you're on the right path. And you're going to see, here's what's wild. You'll see your mother changing.
Yeah.
You'll see people change. Now, how's that happen? Well, right now we're actually in a dream in heaven, right? And actually you're writing yours and I'm writing mine. And so my mom changes in my dream because I change her script, I change her formulas, because I decided that life is an evil. And so therefore the person, the woman, the soul, playing the part of my mother is just a little less, and just a little less, just a little less. It just fades right out. People you never thought would change, change. This is why people are like, he's never going to change. What's never going to change is you bitching that way, right? Because you keep bitching that way, he doesn't. But you're controlling it. It's in your head right now, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. The Matrix is interesting. There's lots of films that are very interesting where they're kind of showing that this is how it happens,
Right.
right? So the most important thing that now I have to say, you are more free and more capable in this month than you have been your entire life to change who you are. More than ever in your entire life. Honestly, everyone has the keys. And you know what's really sad? You could have done no work in the last 12 years. And if you just change right now, you're going to fucking get away with it. You're going to get away with it. You're going to be able to do it. Whereas I busted my ass since 2012, you can just change right now and you'll be fine. You just like Bugs Bunny would just hop off the plane before it crashed. You just get stunned, right? And that's amazing to me. But
Yeah.
I want to practice. So
Right. Well, it also adds to your teaching abilities.
totally. And
So,
our Instagram success.
yes, so that's important today, tomorrow. Is there anything else happening this week?
Well, no, I mean, basically every day is a final test. I mean, I'm not going to make
Okay.
any drama because it's not, but it is. It's like today, believe what you want to believe. Tomorrow, go and belong where you're supposed to belong. Okay. If you want to always eat with the cheerleaders at the high school table, get your ass over there and sit down with those cheerleaders tomorrow because you belong next to those cheerleaders or you belong next to those hot football players or whatever. Like those things that I wish I could be at the popular table. Go tomorrow. Okay. From that point on, the whole world will agree that you belong there. All right. Now, some people get a wicked tomorrow's a kind of confusing one. So let's talk about that real quick. Tomorrow's a step 4 day. That means that the universe is going to reveal wherever you're dead wrong, wherever you're dead wrong. And dead wrong is like, you know, I was is like a coyote hanging out with hens. Like that's dead wrong. You don't want that to happen. Like there's some things like don't get in the mouth of a crocodile. Like you don't belong there. It's like dead wrong, right? So, a lot of people are dead wrong. A lot of people are doing things that are just they do not belong there. They do not. And they knew they didn't belong there and they did nothing about it, right? So if you find yourself, if that's the case where you don't belong, you will have a major slap up beside the head from the universe. Major slap upside the head. Which means like you go there and they dump the food on you and they humiliate you. It's like, what happened? What did I do? Don't get caught up in crying and worrying about yourself. You're just shown as a courtesy that you do not belong there.
Hmm.
Okay. And that is a courtesy. If you continue to push it, something horrible will happen because you're literally going against the way the whole system works. Right. So that's tomorrow. And that's to teach you. Now, you don't have to get it right. By the way, it's like you don't have to like pick, wipe the food off of you, then go to the nerd table. You just have to know you don't belong to that table. Then the question is, well, where do you belong? Okay. So tomorrow is about identifying where you belong. All right. And I've had some identifications that have blown my mind. I mean, when you are in the step system and you're aware of it, by the way, you start working the steps earlier than everyone else. So I've been working step 4 for about a week. And a lot of people have too. A lot of people have gotten car accidents, fallen downstairs, robberies, like a lot of like kind of harsh stuff in their life. Those are all I belong warnings. You don't belong here. You don't belong here. Right? Why you don't belong here? Because your vibe and their vibe do not mix. Just because they're pretty doesn't mean they're good for you or whatever, or famous or whatever. So, but for the whole population is tomorrow. If you don't belong there, if your car breaks down, sell it. You don't belong in that car. It's that literal. Okay, it's that literal, and it's a warning, and you'll get away with it this one time. Now, normally you get away with it many times, but we're in a new era, so there will be no mechanisms to save you next time. There's just not. This time next year, if you're not where you belong, no mercy. If you're dumb enough to walk into an alligator pit, no mercy. It's like, what can we tell you? This is a theme park, and some places, parts of it get you killed. So then the way you think is on Wednesday, and what you open up to and accept in life is on Thursday. That's a big one. So it's like, will so and so accept that he's an alcoholic? Will so and so accept that she's gay? Will so and so accept this or accept that in their life? Will they accept the truth? Will they accept it? Because they've been living in La La Land pretending like it's not happening. So you got to accept whatever you accept. So if someone like insults you and walks away and you accept that, that'll be bad Thursday. That'll be bad. Do not accept bad treatment from people on Thursday. Do not. Okay. It's really Wednesday night Wednesday afternoon to Thursday morning, because we have half step days right now. So the days probably feel longer, okay, for people right now. And you're probably more tired because you're actually going through 2 conscious steps in a waking day. And when that happens, you're just worn out, because it's like walking to another country. It's like traveling. If you travel from one part of the country to the other, part of the world to the other in one day, you're exhausted because you've been in 2 different total worlds, right? 2 step day is the same way. When it's 2 step day, you're exhausted because a new step hits you. And the thing is like, if you don't wake up to the step, like, hi, good morning, then you're not encoded to it. So what happens is like, everyone is encoded to the step that they woke up to today, which was step 2. So this is step 2 encoded today. But now we're in step 3. What does that mean? Well, I'm still the emotional mess I was earlier this morning, but now I'm theoretical about it. Like now, step 3 comes in, and I'm using step 3 in order to cope with step 2. That's how it works. So you end up using the next step to cope with it, but you don't get the problems of the step until you wake up to it. Okay.
Okay.
You might see them, but you don't really get an effect. We're not in play. That step is not in play. And so the major things for that step will not happen if you don't wake up to that step. And some people are a day behind because they like get up at 2 in the morning or something, or get up at 3 in the morning. And so they wake up. Everyone else on the planet changes steps, but they actually wake up at that step. So they live that step a day behind the people who are living steps. So you literally, it's funny too, because the people who just like don't get it are usually a step behind, usually. And they're just like, are you with me? Are you listening? And like, oh, you wake up at 3. All right, we're good. We're good. I was there yesterday. And you can actually talk to people who are like, I'm feeling this way. And people are like, I was there yesterday. You hear it all the time.
Yeah.
So that's where I was yesterday. It's like you're a step ahead. They're a step ahead, actually.
Yeah.
That's what. So usually when you dealt with the yesterday, you're a step ahead. But the breakdown is really big. So what you think? Tomorrow is breakdown. That's Tuesday. Wednesday is how you think. Thursday is what you open up to. Friday is your perception of heaven and God. So your spirituality. What is it that you sense? What are you picking up on when you sense something, right? And so there's levels of sensory perception, and some people only sense that there's danger, or there's not. And so it's like, okay, that's all you sense. That's all you sense. Makes sense to me, right? $20.44. But if you sense that there's something way beyond cheaper than we've ever seen before, then now that says that your sensory perception is capable of going way off Earth, right? And so you be that way, and that more of that will come, right? Then the following day, which is Sunday, is step 8. Is that right? Yeah. Let's see. Wait, tomorrow's.
Did you cover Saturday?
Yeah, I don't think I covered Saturday. So we did 7. I think 7 is on Friday. Yep. And then step 8 is what you decide about yourself, and that's the most important step. Okay, 2 steps that are most important is 8 and 9. So you can have a whole week of bad luck, But it's not till Saturday afternoon that you decide you have bad luck. And if you decide you have bad luck, like I had bad luck, it's clear. I can't deny it anymore. When someone says that, they've decided they have bad luck. Okay, that was a decision. You basically said, I've looked at all the evidence, and I'm this, I'm not that. Right? So that decision is like it's kind of it's like a cork that goes on the top of the building. So that decision is you literally tie a knot and you say, I am not this, I am this. That's what an eight is. An eight is a zero that's twisted into a knot, right? And so an eight is this knot, stuck in infinity. I'm not this, I'm this, I'm not this, I'm this, I'm not this, I'm this. So on Saturday, Sunday, you will decide what you are and what you're not. And that is pretty much the sealing of your fate. That's the judgment. And then there's one more thing. The next day is 9. So are you going to behave like you're that or not? So you can decide you are and not play the game, which means you're closeted, right? You're like hiding what you're not or hiding
Yeah.
what you are. And some people did that. You had to or whatever, right? So and so you can say I'm not this and then you act like you are. Now you have a real problem because half of you says half of you one and half of you the other are on different pages. Because pretty much, and 8 and 9 are a big thing. 8 is the reserve inside. 9 is then putting it to the outside in the matrix, the actions you do. So if you decide you're this way, you must act like it the next day. You must. You must. You Elon must. Right. I know. I just like film. So
All right.
and then the next 2 days when we're back, we'll talk about it. But the next 2 days when we're back are step 10, step 11. And that's when you will fully become everything that you did not.
Right. Okay, everybody, we got the week laid out for us and we know what's going on. We know actually our responsibility and the profundity of it as well. Like Chris said, I mean, at least for the next year, this is defining the reality that we're in, right?
As soon as we get to 11 and we get to 12, shift hits the fan in the world. Because what happens is now everyone is clear, right? Bill Gates is still going to make vaccines. Betcha. And decide I'm a vaccine maker. People are going to decide that they are or they're not. And so at that point, everyone's voted. So there's nobody to stay around the question mark anymore. And so the plot, now that each person up to step 11 has said, this is who they are or not in step 11, this is my integrity. And then they go in the world for 12, they interact with the world. Everyone interacts with the world at 12 and puts their emotions out in the world of what they are and what they're not. That's when you have basically a big explosion where all the things you're not start to fall apart. Because you have to put energy into things staying alive. If you say, I am not a gun owner, then your ability to own a gun starts to fall apart. Because why are we to build a gun shop next to you if you didn't,
Whoa.
oh, there you go. Ha! So glad you joined me today. So, long story short, this week, be on your best behavior to you. Be your authentic self. Just be who you really are. And if you're embarrassed, do it alone because you don't have to have people to do this. Just lock yourself in your house and be who you really are for a week. And you will be so happy when it's over. You have no idea. You have no idea. I've cried over it. It's so incredible how much we've suffered unnecessarily because it's really all just a theme park.
That's our choice.
Yeah. And it's your choice to go ahead and bitch, even though you know you don't care anymore. You know, it's
Yeah.
like you're not really mad, and yet you still say it, you still bitch. All right, you just chose to continue on the same path. So, yeah.
Well, thank you everybody for being here. I'm sure you're here because everything Chris is saying is completely resonating with
Mm.
what we're all experiencing. So thank you so much, Chris, for sharing so openly for us. Everybody, Christopher Witecki is his tag's down in the comment. It's pinned right now, so please follow him. And Chris, I'll see you
Listen,
next
and come to
next week.
SeriouStory.com. Come hang out with us. Well, we're gonna throw a party. I mean, once this is all over, for me, the new me is just a partier. Like it's all
Cool.
about celebration. I'm not talking about checking out. I'm not checking in. Like Hotel California, well, I'll never check out again. Like I'm going. But I think it is time for joy. So if you're feeling me, folks, plan it. Let's have fun for the rest of this life. Let's do
Let's
it.
do it.
Yeah.
Serious joy. Have some
Amen.
serious joy. All
Thanks,
right.
Rob. Hope to see you soon, dude.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
In
me
person.
too.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
See you
Take
guys.
care. Bye, guys.